Got it.
Awesome. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. We have the honor and the privilege of being joined by the one and only Bob Walatka. Thank you so much again, Bob, for doing this for me. I'm super excited. I feel you have such a wealth of knowledge to share. So definitely excited to chat with you today.
Thanks, Carlos. I've been doing it for a couple of minutes. I might have learned a couple of things over the years that I can share with this group here.
Just maybe one or two nuggets, that's all.
Yep. Well, and I find that with any of these things, if you can grab one or two things and implement them, that's really the key. A lot of people were talking about being at family reunion, drinking from a fire hose, and then you come away from that and you don't do anything with that knowledge. Then what did it serve you?
Absolutely. I've always said if you can implement just one thing in your business, you're going to see the result and you're going to see the improvement. So yes, before we dive into that, let's take it back a little bit. Kind of want to know what kind of got you started in the industry.
Okay, so I have been in sales the vast majority of my working life, and I'm really old. And so when the opportunity came to get into real estate sales, I seized it. And it was primarily because my wife at the time and I had done a few real estate transactions. We had moved out to a new area, and the agent that helped us with that, he was doing great. And what we saw, the agent on the other end of every deal sucked. And so I learned, or my observation was, if I just take what I know about sales and apply those things, I can be successful doing this new thing, which is real estate. And that was some 21, 22 years ago that made that discovery.
Wow, very cool. So what would you say has been like the biggest obstacle in making that transition?
The biggest obstacle, early on, there was no obstacle. The boutique brokerage that I started with, and this was in 99, 2001, 2002. He was generating leads using this new thing called the internet, and not a lot of agents were fully into it at that point. So we were getting all kinds of internet leads, putting them into a system and following up with them. Early on, there was no obstacle. Then when the market shifted, 2005, 2006, in the market I was in, when things changed, then the obstacle was, okay, what do we do now? There aren't as many buyers. We were just making bank with buyers, no problem. The buyers kind of disappeared overnight. So now what do we do? So the biggest obstacle became taking this database we had and actually working it effectively. So that was the biggest obstacle, and the ongoing obstacle is working your database effectively, working my database effectively.
Gotcha. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was one of the main things I really wanted to kind of dive into with you. You are literally like a lead generating machine as far as when it comes to hitting the phones. And I know a lot of people might have some hangups about, no pun intended, might have some hangups about dialing and cold calling. So how do you push past, that mindset of getting into calls first? So first, let me ask, what got you into doing cold calls, and how was your mindset on that when you first started out?
Well, as you already, and those of you that know me and those of you that don't know me and hear me now, I have a face for radio. And so using my voice over the phone became an effective tool for me. The mentor, or the person that I was with, we learned about this Mojo dialer 17 years ago. And he said, hey, I've been using this tool. We should use this tool. And it was the Mojo dialer. And he had learned about this thing about making circle calls. And I think that was a Mike Ferry thing. And he put together the tools and the resources to just initially it was circle calls. Hey, we just listed a home, whatever. And I do theater. And so learning scripts and using my voice and using this tool was a just simple thing for me to do. And I will tell you, to my fault, it's too easy for me to default to that. Even if it's not working, I'm going to default to that because I'm comfortable doing it. It's easy for me. And cold calling is not for everybody. It's okay. If it's not right for you, that's okay. What is right for you? What will work for you? What can you do on a regular, consistent basis that will get results or be effective for you? And you've got to find whatever that thing is for you. If you don't like cold calling, that's okay. What are you going to do? What will you do to find business, to make contact with human beings, to have real estate conversations with human beings? What are you willing to do? And then do that consistently, effectively, like a business every day that you work. Did that answer your question, Carlos?
It did absolutely answer my question. You know, I think I've told you before, I also did theater, and the way that like it just, you, when you're on the phone, you default to that, you know, script, and the cadence is right, and the inflection and the tone, like it's very discounted how much theater impacts, you know, being comfortable on the phones for sure. And I think you said another crucial point, you know, if cold calling is not for you, that's okay. You know, you don't have to, everybody doesn't have to be a cold caller. You can do open houses, you can do farming, you can do milk, whatever it is, pick something and just do it. It goes back to what we said before about implementation. You know,
Yep.
just implement something. Everybody asks, you know, well, what CRM should I use, or which lead gen method should I do? Whichever one you're going to actually do.
Yep.
That is always my answer, whatever one you're going to stick to.
Yep.
So
if you have a database of 3,000 records of people who know, like, and trust you, guess what? You don't have to cold call. Just work your database effectively. That's all. But if you don't have that database, and I started in the Sacramento area 20 years ago, and 4 years ago, I moved to Southern California, and I knew this many people. And so I resorted to what I knew worked. So I just began doing that to build a database here. So if you know this many people, guess what? You may have to make some cold calls. You may have to talk to people you don't know to get them into your database.
Absolutely. Something that kind of has helped me, you know, in my career as far as with the mindset around cold calling, once you have that initial introduction, it's no longer a cold call, right? Or if you're coming from contribution, it's no longer a cold call. It's now a warm call, right? And so you don't have, it kind of helps with the mindset of like, oh, I'm scared, I'm paralyzed of cold calling or messing up the script. So talking about scripts and knowing, you know, you have a theater background, do you still now incorporate some type of script practice into like your daily routine before you get on the phones, or?
So, Carlos, you've heard me on the phone, and poor Natalie, our whatever her title is, who's next door to me, and Simon, who's across the way, our team lead.
And the agents at Remax across the way.
Or Remax next door can hear me because I am that loud. Do I have, those of you that know me and have heard me and have seen me, do you think I need script practice? And the answer would be, no, you know what you're doing, Bob. I hear you, you know, whatever, do it every day. And that's the key. And I have 4 role play partners. I currently do not have one on Wednesday because of another commitment that I have, and I'll plug somebody back in there on Wednesday once that commitment is over with. So yes, I have role play partners, and most of the time I'm benefiting them, and some of the times they're benefiting me because I will hear something, learn something different, new, and being great at your scripts and your dialogues is really the key to this business. Just no one can say something to me on the phone that I have not already heard. And I know when they say that, I know exactly which way I'm going to take it. And that did not happen overnight. That took me a couple of years to get to the point where I knew what they were going to say and I knew what I was going to say. It doesn't happen overnight. And the best way is to practice with somebody else versus a real life possible lead.
Absolutely.
So yes, I practice every day.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's crucial, whether it's an accountability partner, a coach, a mentor, somebody, but getting yourself comfortable doing those things is really what makes it so much easier to consistently do it,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah. And just commit to role. Gary Keller early on in his career said he would get together with another guy at the office and they would practice their scripts every day. If there was an objection that they were running into that they didn't have a handler for, they would practice that. Whatever it is, practice that every day, 5 days a week for 15 minutes. Take 15 dang minutes and practice your scripts with somebody else. It's easy.
100%, 100%. What would you say the next level of success looks like for you in your career?
The next level of success for me is having a larger database that I'm working more effectively and is producing more results than I am currently doing. Increasing my income year after year after year is what the next level of success looks like for me.
Awesome. That's really cool. It's awesome to have a clear picture of that, right? A lot of times agents don't. They're just in it, just, oh, well, whatever I do, let's just see what happens. But how important do you think it is having a clear vision to be able to achieve that actual goal?
Back in the fall, October, November, I was hitting a wall. I had nothing going on. My pipeline disappeared, vanished. And I went to my mentor coach and said, I'm hitting a wall here. I'm having a problem. What have I got to do? And he had me get back into, what do we do? The 1-3-5. He had me go back in and redo my 1-3-5 to get clear about, here's my income goal. Here's the 3 strategies around that. And here are the 5 tactics under each of those that I'm going to do. And it gave me much more clarity as to what I'm going to do on a daily basis to find my business. And if you're not doing that, hang up from this call right now and go do your 1-3-5. And if you don't know what that is, find a coach, mentor, coworker, friend, or whatever that has done them, and have them help you build that out. And that's what I do with anybody that's a mentee of mine. First step is, what's your 1-3-5? Let's be clear about what you're going to do on a daily basis to find business.
Absolutely. Me, those of you that know me, I am all in on the systems and models and the MREA and the one thing. And so I do the same exact thing. I think the 1-3-5 is one of those things, no matter what level of production you're at, no matter what level of success you've seen, the 1-3-5 is always going to be a great tool to help orient and make your vision plain. Right. And it literally lays out, and even breaking it down, the 5 strategies. Cool. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what you do. For those new agents, that's literally what you do. These are your steps and your keys to success in achieving all of those different things. So
yeah, and that's the one thing, Carlos, I've seen in this market center, and with you doing in your role. I've been in multiple market centers in my 20-something years. I've taught Ignite multiple times. I've seen it taught. I've seen it done. And this is the first time I've really seen it taught and integrated in other systems beyond just teaching Ignite. And with what you're doing and the things that you're driving, I'm seeing all those pieces being put together. So I commend you for doing that and bringing that to our market center, and for the agents that are a part of it, like Cheyenne, Wyoming from Detroit, and Christine Goldrup. Those are the ones that I can see that I know.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. No, it's, hashtag Keller Williams, right? We have the systems and the tools, and it's literally.
We have all the systems and the tools. Yeah, they're there. Are we actually being used to help people's businesses?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you had to go back, what advice would you have given your younger self, young Bob starting in the industry 20-something years ago.
Start building your damn database from day one. Take all those leads that you generate and put them into a database that you will continue to follow up with. That's what I would tell my younger self. This thing right here that we all have now, that didn't quite exist in this form when I first got into the business. And this is something I tell all new mentees. You have, or all new agents, you have one of these. And on this thing, you have an app that's called Contacts. Those are all people who already know, like, and trust you. You already know them. Start there. We talk about the fact that I make cold calls, and I have zero hesitation in making cold calls. In fact, I'm in the training room right now. I made a commitment to my coach that I would do my lead generation in a place where people can see me, to hold me accountable, and I can potentially benefit them. So when we're done with this call, I will start my dialer and I will call people who don't know me, who don't like me, who don't trust me, and see if I can add them to my database. Now, you don't have to do that. Start with this darn thing, because all those people already know, like, and trust you, and start building your database from the word go. I had to go back and clean up that mess that I had. And I got to tell you, folks, I hate going line by line, starting with Aaron Anderson, and then going to the next day, and going down that thing to clean up that mess and have a real database of what I, what I really have, find out what I really have. Start at the beginning, building that database, name, phone number, email address, address. Start with A and work your way down till you get to Z. And then you've got something you can really work with and build that will produce for you.
Awesome. Would you say there's any specific system as far, or methodology as to how you're calling? Like, are you going in alphabetical order? Is it random? And do you cherry pick some of the names that you call or may not call? How does that work?
Well, when it comes to building the database, make no judgment. Start at A and work your way down. Yeah, and we all do that. Well, I don't want to call that person. I haven't talked to them in whatever amount of time, and you start prejudging how they're going to react. Don't. Just call them and say, hey, I've made a commitment to help 20 families this year of people who are looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate. Who do you know that I can help? And what about your situation? Well, great. I'll be checking back with you throughout the year to see if there's anything I can do for you real estate wise. Do I have your correct contact information? Okay, great. I've got everything. Wonderful. Thank you so much. If you do think of somebody, please give me a call first. And I'll be checking back with you next quarter. And don't judge. Start with A.
Perfect. That was it. Did everybody write that down? That was the script.
By the way, here's a script. All of you, everybody on this call can use today with the people that are here. And whether they're on a database or not, doesn't matter. Start with A and go, hi, this is Cheyenne, Wyoming from Detroit. And I'm hoping you can help me with a challenge. Everybody wants to help. The people who know, like, and trust you all want to help you. They do. They just have to be reminded what they can do to help you. And they will say yes. And I'll go, great. I've made a commitment to help 20 families this year, or whatever your number is, 100, 500, 10, doesn't matter. That's your number, and your number is fine. I've made a commitment to help this number of families this year who are looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate. Who do you know that I can help? The answer is the question is, who do you know? It's not, do you know? Don't let me ever hear you say, do you know? Because the answer to do you know is no, I don't know anybody. Who do you know requires them to stop and think. And it will blow you away. If you've never asked this question of someone, you will hear, whether it's a cold call or someone you know, you will hear them hesitate and stop and think when you ask, who do you know? You'll hear it over the phone, or you'll see it in person. And then they'll go, well, I can't think of anybody right now, but if I do think of somebody, can I call you back? Absolutely, you can. In fact, would you be offended if I check back with you next week to see if somebody has come to mind? And they will say, no, I would not be offended. When I ask my follow-up call question, would you be offended if I check back with you next week, next month, whatever? The answer is always no, I would not be offended. Great. And then you have to have a system to remind you to follow up with them. And that's that database, that CRM, that whatever tool it is that you're going to use that will every day remind you to make those calls that you said you were going to make. And that's really the key to building trust, is when you do what you said you were going to do, and when you follow up in a week, in a month, in 3 months, or whatever you said you were going to do. I cannot tell you how many people have said, oh, wow, you're really thorough. You did what you said you were going to do. Boom. I just earned the listing. I just earned the business right then. I didn't have to give a presentation. I just did what I said I was going to do.
That's
Coffee is for closers.
Coffee is for closers. That's extremely powerful. I'm taking notes myself of things that I need to, go and reanalyze my business and add into what I do, as far as with recruiting and lead generating. So yeah, no, definitely some gems.
Well, and we get hung up in, I've got to have this beautiful presentation. I have to have all the answers. I have to have all the right tools. I have to have all this stuff. And you don't. You just have to make contact, make a commitment to do something, do it, and can do that consistently over a period of time. And there's your silver bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I've shared on the call before. My mentor once asked me, because as new agents, we get caught up in doing the things, but not the one thing that we need to do. And I was building my buyer's presentation and everything. And he was like, great, looks great. Who are you going to show it to? Like, oh, okay. So if you are not lead generating, you don't have a business. There is no business.
The one thing, and it's as scary as all get out, and I know that, and I get it. And he said, well, I need to have my listing presentation, my buyer presentation. I need to have all this stuff ready to go. I said, no, go make an appointment. Go make an appointment to give a listing presentation. Go make an appointment to do a buyer presentation. Have nothing. Make the appointment, and guess what? Once you've made the appointment, oh, dang, now I have to have that, whatever it is, and it will show up. It will appear. It will happen because of that. Will it be perfect? No. Will it be the best presentation ever made? No. That's okay. Go out there, get messy, and make mistakes, screw up. It's okay.
Absolutely. It is okay to make mistakes.
Yep.
So I kind of want to open it up to the room here. If anybody has any questions for Bob, we got about 5 minutes left. So yes.
Hey, Emilio.
Hey, how's it going, Bob? Appreciate
Good,
it.
man.
You guys are doing a heck of a job. Bob, I've been in your scripts practice. I appreciate, your professionalism and how you come across. My question to you is database, right? You mentioned, we're both working on the Mojo dialer, and what I struggle with is now following up with the database. What's your percentage of your day? How do you structure that day with the cold calling versus the database?
Great question, Emilio. What I do is from 9 to 11, I'm making primarily cold calls, whether it's expired for sell by owner, absentee owner, circle calls, whatever kind of cold calls that I'm going to be making. Then from 11 to 12, using the Mojo dialer, I have scheduled follow-up calls. I have put people into specific groups, whether they're buyer, seller, hot, cold, nurture. Hot, warm, nurture. Hot, nurture, watch. That's my 3 categories. Okay. Hot, they're doing something in 30 days, 30 to 60 days. Nurture is within a year. Watch is longer than a year. So I put everybody into that kind of category, and whether they're buyer or seller. And then using the Mojo dialer, I can call through that group between 11 and 12, and as well as the scheduled follow-up calls that I have in the calendar in Mojo. Those of you that are not familiar with Mojo, we're speaking a foreign language. However, what is not foreign is every day you have follow-up calls scheduled. And in your whatever system you have people categorized as hot, nurture, watch, and you have a schedule to follow up with them on a consistent basis.
Awesome. Awesome.
And by the way, one of the questions you didn't ask that you sent to me, Carlos, was what's the one thing that you did that made the biggest impact? And that was putting lead generation on my calendar, and it is holy sacred ground, and thou shalt not transgress upon it. Doing that consistently, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 11, from 8 to 11, from 8 to 12, whatever it is for you, put lead generation on your calendar and do it consistently every day that you work. That was that made the biggest difference in my business.
Absolutely. That was going to be my big finish.
Oh, sorry. Oh, damnly. Ashley, why use a Mojo dialer? I do it because I love calling. Like I said, calling is the right thing for me. The dialer will dial 3 numbers at a time. It's effortless. It's easy to use. And if calling is your thing, you should really seriously look at the Mojo dialer. Get me your email, allow me to put it into their program, because then if you use it, then they give me stuff, whatever. So yes, thank you, Emilio. It speeds up your call progress and avoids call if the dialer's going, somebody picks up, you better be ready to go.
Absolutely. And I'll be super transparent. I encourage everybody to at least try it, at least try cold calls, at least try dialing before you count yourself out. I know a lot of times we get in our heads like, oh, I'm not going to be good at that. Give it a shot. Once you start getting a little bit of success with it and getting those wins and getting more comfortable with those scripts, it'll start to be more natural. And then, hey, you may end up loving it, but definitely don't count yourself out before at least giving it a shot.
Well, and some of you, maybe door knocking is the right thing for you. That's okay. Do it. I hate it with a passion, and I will do it when I have to. It just, whatever it is you can find that you can do consistently, do that. Why don't you use your own phone? Well, I do. I use my phone and through the Mojo dialer. And yeah, start with A on your phone and talk to everybody.
So to kind of give a little bit more clarity on exactly what a dialer does, it will automatically dial the numbers. So you don't have to stop and punch in the numbers while you're going through. So it definitely speeds it up and makes it go a lot quicker, especially if you're using the 3-line dialer, where, like you said, it'll dial 3 numbers at one time. So it's consistently going. You don't have to stop and look for a new number and then put it in the phone. So that's another benefit of using a dialing service.
And if you come to the Keller Williams South Bay Market Center Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday between 9 and 11, I will be here and you will see the Mojo dialer in action. Come and stand behind me and my laptop right here, and I will show you what I do.
Absolutely. I think we got time for one last question. Heather?
Hey, Heather, how's the weather?
Well, the weather's not that great, but I'm enjoying the call, so thank you so much. Yeah, good morning, everyone. And I wanted to just ask you, what's the most common objection that you hear?
Not interested. Now, you want me to tell you how I handle that one?
Yes, that would be great.
Carlos, you want to be my role play partner?
Sure.
Hey, Carlos, this is Bob. Calling about your house that was for sale, and I noticed it came off the market. Just curious what your plans are.
Yeah, I'm actually not really interested right now.
That's exactly why I called. I don't charge interest.
Okay, well,
And if they stay on the phone, they do what Carlos just did. They laugh. And if they laugh, you own them. They're yours.
that's awesome.
I think that's great. Yeah, to break down their barriers with humor.
Exactly. Yeah. People will throw up what are called reflex responses, brush offs. And one of the best books I ever listened to is Jeb Blount's Fanatical Prospecting. He's got a chapter on what are called RBOs, reflex responses, brush offs, and objections, and how to handle those. And that stuff is gold. It's about disrupting their pattern and saying something that will then cause them to stop and think.
So you have a hand raised, Dawn?
Yes, thank you for allowing me to ask the last question. First, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Bob. A lot of what you mentioned this morning, so definitely relate. I am using the Mojo. Emilio asked a wonderful question about the follow-up. I make my calls daily 9 to 12, so I will adjust a little bit and do the last hour to do my follow-up calls and try that strategy instead. And thank you so, so much for answering the I am not interested. That is one of my huge, huge objection. And I will definitely use that tip that you gave. Thanks again. And it's definitely been a pleasure being on the call and hearing all your tips.
My pleasure. And coming to
you
the
so much for
office,
that, Don.
Stito. Oh, that was another thing that changed my career. A mentor of mine, I used to work from home like a lot of you do and make my calls there or what have you. And a mentor, someone I looked up to and admired, pulled me aside one day and said, Bob, you should come and work in the office. We have extra cubicles here. You could just sit right there. My office is over there. There's this guy here. This blah, blah, blah. So come into the office. And I went, yes, sir. And that day I went to the team lead and said, I need a cubicle. And then the day after that, I was in the office every day. And I have been in the office every day to work the balance of my working career. That was 15, 16 years ago that happened.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, Bob. You dropped some amazing, amazing gems for everybody to be able to utilize. I know we are a little bit over, so we can go ahead and wrap it up. I did see Kim actually dropped in the chat the 135. So feel free, grab that, take a look at it.
Don't take a look at it, fill it out.
Fill it out. Yes. Speak with your mentor, your coach, your team leader, whoever in your world can help you go through that and fill it out and get it implemented. Bob, thank you again. Absolutely appreciate it. This is an amazing, amazing call. Everybody, let's go be productive.
Go sell a house.
Go sell a house. Bye, y'all.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.